The hottest sailboat market is always the 40 plus footer, and one of the hottest boats in the world for both charters and private ownership is the 440. But what makes this boat so great? And spoiler, it has a couple of big downsides that you should probably know about if you're going to buy one. These came out in 2017 and they're well on their way to making at least 1,000 of them, which is a monumental number in sailboat land. But there are so many for good reason. We'll start at the back with the electronic fold-down platform, which is raved about by cruisers. More on that later. Inside the stern, you'll find accommodations for a life raft, a nice fold-out swim ladder, and huge storage bay all behind the well aft twin helms attached to twin rudders. As we step between the split backstay and up onto the main cockpit, we note the extremely wide aft section of this boat. At just over 14 feet carrying the beam well aft, we'd have lots of room back here for a massive arch and a solar array if we plan to go cruising on this boat. We note the electric primary winches inboard in front of the helms, and with the self-tacking jib that most people set up and use on these, we can run the main sheets to these winches instead of the jib, because you'll usually set the jib and forget about it, which leaves you more time to play with the mainsail. And being able to do that right from the cockpit seat is pretty awesome. We note Jeanneau's party piece of late, the sloping side decks, allowing you to simply walk around the back of the helms and go around any guests that you have relaxing in the cockpit. This means full access to the rest of the deck without stepping over anyone, and this can be a game changer in itself. These sloping side decks are just excellent. The salesman on board points out to us that the cockpit table here is actually angled, so there's more room and a direct walkway through the cockpit to the companionway door on the port side of the table, while the starboard side, the bench seat is an L shape, so it's sort of harder to navigate through, kind of closed off. That was Jeanneau's goal, is to have guests sit to starboard so that the crew can walk through on the port side if you have to go inside. In some reviews though, people said they weren't the biggest fans of this arrangement and they'd rather just have a symmetrical cockpit with matching benches, but to each their own. Access forward is easy and safe with the high bulwarks and grab handle on the Dodger, as well as a Jeanneau track bolted down underfoot. We approach the chain plates. The cap shrouds are outboard, but the lowers are inboard in a more traditional layout, making it easier to pass between them. You're not swinging around any shrouds here. Up front, past lots of flush hatches and a clean open deck and stanchions that could be a little bit higher, we come to the traditional furling, stubby bowsprit with electric windlass and anchor roller and provisions for a code sail to be tacked down here. Most newer boats are like this now. We get a smaller jib, often self-tacking, for the work and all the upwind running, and then a code or some other light air sail to be used off the wind. And with the furling technology we have today, in big light air sails, it all makes a lot of sense. The deck-stepped main furling mast stands at 65 feet without any antenna, which should just sneak under most of the bridges on the ICW at low water. The hull is comprised of a solid hand-laid fiberglass laminate set in polyester, skinned with a barrier coat and gel coat. Areas around the chain plates have been reinforced with extra laminate. The deck is injection molded, cored with discontinuous balsa blocks, and also coated with a gel coat. Twin rudders are set in self-aligning bearings, and the cast iron keel is bolted to the hull and comes in Jeanneau's 7-foot and 5-foot variants. The boat we're on today is the 3-cabin version, which we suspect most people will want to buy. You can get the 2-cabin, but that turns the third bedroom into a storage and generator room, so you'll have to decide which is more important, the bedroom or the generator room. People rave about the heads on this boat too, because they're so roomy and they use glass doors to section off the showers, which is super nice. And while I did see that the sole in this boat is divided into a lot of individual pieces of wood, nothing was squeaking or groaning underfoot. As we explore the inside, I want to share some insider insight with you. When we give you guys a tour of a boat, we go look at every piece of data on that boat available to make sure we're giving you as big a picture as possible. And in that research, I stumbled across the YouTube channel Rejoicing by Land or Sea, and they have a very unique perspective on this Jeanneau 440. They own a Beneteau 423, which is an extremely common cruising boat, and as they look to upgrade, they chartered this new Jeanneau 440, so their perspective was excellent. They raved about how the Jeanneau is a foot wider than the 423 at just over 14 feet, which translated to all kinds of good things. They found less things to step over, significantly more room in the cockpit. They found the swim platform folded down to be excellent and extremely useful, which is important if you're going to go cruise on one of these. You'll daily be using this to get in and out of the dinghy, often with jerry cans or groceries, and they hailed this platform as the best they've experienced. They also had a lot to say about the forward owner's cabin with the double doors. Oftentimes, double doors don't really work on a sailboat because they swing open and they bang around under sail, but they found these to be excellent. They stayed closed while sailing, and once they stopped, they were opened to the super wide, extremely spacious, more than queen-size stateroom. Storage galore and so much room to move around. They said they couldn't believe the size of the master cabin on this boat. It's more like the stateroom on a 50-footer. On the negative side, they said, while hosting extra guests for a dinner party or something, the lack of seating in the saloon was bad. The galley down the port side, so you don't get extra seats or benches, and as an entertaining boat in the anchorage, this was a big problem for them. But the biggest issue they found in comparing their 423 was the comfort ratio. Not many people talk about that number, but Ted Brewer came up with it to measure how comfortable a boat is in sort of heavier seas. And their 423 is a 25 comfort ratio. Anything under 30 is considered coastal cruiser according to this metric, but 25 is a good mid-range coastal cruiser kind of number. They sail in the San Francisco Bay, and in the bay, 25 is pretty good. When they go out under the Golden Gate into the ocean, their Beneteau can get kind of rolly. In comparison, the Jeanneau 440 scored just a 21 on the comfort ratio, which is quite low. They sailed this one out of the BVIs on a windy day, and they said the 440 got very rolly in comparison to their Beneteau. So food for thought. The comfort ratio matters, and you can find that number at Sailboat Data. The power on this boat comes from the standard Yanmar you'd expect it to have, and a shaft-driven prop, along with an optional thruster in the bow, which we'd recommend that you get for sure. Twin rudder boats lack the benefit of prop wash across the rudder blade, which you'll notice if you're slow maneuvering in the marina, so the bow thruster is a big help. What do you all think? In the 40-ish production boat world, is there anything better than this Jeanneau 440? Why or why not? What do you not like about it? Also, while you're here, did you see the article we posted on the Practical Sailor website about transom design and what it all means? As we just toured a huge fold-down transom boat, this article really helps us understand how we got here. It's definitely worth a read. I'll leave a link in the description. Also, don't forget to like this video and hit subscribe to see more from Practical Sailor. I'll see you guys next time.